Happy Thursday and welcome to the Beat of Sports. My name is Marc Daniels. Chris Vasquez occupies the room that we call Master Control with fancy buttons and all that stuff. And off we go with our program today, and a busy one indeed.
We're not so fancy over here.
No?
Nah.
Trying to pump you up?
Well, I mean, I guess they can't really see on the stream. Can't really see the board.
Yeah.
Should I show the board?
Unless there's anything you don't want us to see.
No, I got nothing to hide.
Spill anything on it?
No.
Okay.
I always get grief for having drinks in here.
Hmm.
No spills yet. 11 plus years.
Well, he just jinxed that, obviously. There you go.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. You doing all right, Chris?
I'm good, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. Just an unbelievable listener email coming up.
I'm so
excited. I'm hyping it. I think it's going to live to the hype.
Before we get to that, though, I got to ask how the dinner went or how the lunch went with the shirt.
Yeah. Yesterday, I had on a light blue Nike T-shirt, but one of those made with like their fine, like it would,
fancy.
It's like $60. It should have been like $10. Oh. Anyway, and then I brought in some gumbo for the guys, and when I went to see if it was warm enough, took the spoon out, and a little bit of the liquid goes on my shirt, and I quickly try to dry it and get the stain on it. And as I did, I was somewhat successful, but it looked like I was lactating on the right side of my chest. But it went away, and a successful lunch without any recognition of, hey, what is that on your shirt?
Is it wrong to say I'm a little disappointed?
No. But I will say this: we went to Cancun Fiesta is a Mexican restaurant just off of 436 in Altamont Springs.
Okay.
From the outside, if you go there before they open, you're like, oh God, just run down. But when you go inside, it's awesome. It's I say this as a compliment. It's like a dive restaurant with like cheesy decor, but it's fantastic. The food is incredible. And I pulled up at 12:25 yesterday, and you couldn't find a parking spot. Place is packed. And for those that know, and if you go online and do a look, there's a reason why they got like 4.9. Like, it's awesome. And place is packed. Got in yesterday. The person I was meeting beat me there.
And you were bragging that you only had to go one exit. He had to go 3.
Yeah, but he didn't have a radio show that finished at noon. It seems somebody get there early. But I always find, like, if I go with my wife to a Mexican restaurant and they put chips and salsa down, you can get addicted to that, you know? But when you're, like, meeting somebody, this is a friend, you're not as aggressive. It's hard to do the talk and catch up as you're shoving chips and salsa in your mouth. So hardly touched it. Yeah, hardly touched. And then, can I be honest? I was a little stain shy, thinking I just worked to clean this off. My luck, I dip and a bite off the tooth, and it's going to go flying, and I got a new stain. So I was a bit salsa shy to be aggressive.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I will say, if it's that kind of lunch, I'm a fast eater, so I probably wolf down about 3/4 of the basket myself.
Oh, well, you're that guy.
So with that, I'd have to really pace myself.
Yeah.
But then if I don't see the other person eating the chips, then it's like, it's just awkward now.
Hey, what do you think when the waiter or waitress comes over and you're not ready and you say, can you give us a minute? Can you give us a moment? Do you think they take that literally? Because the guy yesterday, I'm not kidding you. He goes, you guys ready? I go, can you give us a minute? I think he just went behind a wall and counted and turned around and goes, now? Like, just a little bit longer. Now? Yeah, pressured, ordered quickly. But you know what? They were turning tables over. His goal was to getting it out. But we had a great meal. It was fun. It was good. And then I got home, sprayed some shout on the shirt, and washed it immediately. And you know what? It's perfect. Perfect. Stain came out, and everything's good.
Do you feel obligated to order when the server kind of goes like that?
Fair question. If the restaurant was not crowded, then I would have wanted more time. But I respect a crowded restaurant that you could tell their turnover tables, lunch is packed. I'm not going to be the jerk that holds up a table. And even though by the time we finished, the lunch crowd had lightened up a little bit. But no, if I see the place is packed, you're turning tables over, I'm not going to take 20 minutes to order. No, let's go. Not that hard. It's good. Food was great. We had a great time. It was good.
Glad to hear it.
All right. Cam Miller's by for his weekly football segment about 10:35. We got a whole bunch of things to get to. History lesson today of an event that, wow, you go back and think of the event and where we are today, you'll be like, that took a turn. A great listener email when we come back, but first here's everybody's favorite segment.
It's almost like an unwritten rule that when you become a father, you become king of the bad dad jokes.
What is Forrest Gump's password? One Forrest one.
Are you ready to laugh? We know at least one person is. Here's CB's dad joke of the day.
Oh, that's so great.
It's finally ready with my mug and everything. I'm ready to go today, Mark.
All right.
Mark, did you know I always keep my guitar in my car?
No, Chris, I didn't know that you always keep your guitar in your car.
It's good for traffic jams.
Again, he knows the joke before telling it and still laughs the loudest at the joke.
More sports, more banter, more Marc Daniels. This is the Beat of Sports.
Access this show on FM 96.9 AM 740. The live video stream via Twitter, 96 on Game On, or you can go to our YouTube page, 96 on the Game Orlando. Click on the logo and the live button, and you can watch the show. Sometimes we do a little show within the show and pop on during the radio breaks and have a little fun. And you can also listen in podcast form, where you get your favorite podcast type of the Beat of Sports on demand. Subscribe and get the show downloaded to listen when it's convenient for you. You can also listen on the iHeart app. Somebody was asking the restaurant I was talking about?
Yes, what was the name of the restaurant?
Yeah, Taco Bell. No, just kidding. Fiesta Cancun is the name of the restaurant. Fiesta Cancun. It's on Douglas Avenue, right off of 436
All right.
and I-4.
Might have to take wifey there.
A little
one
bit of
day.
construction. You got to make sure you get in on the right side and get around everything, but worth it. Yeah, free plug. There you go.
There you go.
All right, ready for listener email?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I've hyped it, so it's got to live up to the hype.
I'm ready.
Okay. So this email comes from a listener, and he's sharing the email. It's his wife's cousin.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Wife's cousin.
So he's not a relative. But they live in a Midwestern state. They asked that I not give the state. Okay.
Fine.
So it's a couple, husband and wife,
Okay.
live in a Midwestern state, and once in a while they enjoy going to large yard sales to find items.
Mm-hmm.
This particular yard sale listed several of the higher priced items online, which I don't know the garage sale protocol, but I guess
don't
there are
either.
places that you can go find where they list some of the items.
Okay.
So you say, hey, I want to go and so forth. And it just so happens that an item that they were looking for, they found available this upcoming yard sale on a Saturday.
Okay.
Do you know what a break front cabinet is? It's like in your living room, you have whatever, like old pieces of china in there or family heirlooms and, whatever.
Okay.
Okay. So it's, you open up like there's glass doors
Okay.
in the middle, then they have and maybe some drawers and things like that. So they saw this break front unit
Mhm.
and thought it'd be perfect. They had recently moved into a home and they were renovating some. Okay. So they go out to purchase the break front unit. They get there early, place is packed, and find out that there are a number of people that are interested in the break front unit.
Mm-hmm.
They pay $1,300 for the break front unit.
Garage sale?
Well, apparently they did the research because the owner provided the information on the unit. And if it was in the condition that the owner said it was, they thought it was worth easily $2,000.
Okay.
So brought a truck and the padding in case they were going to purchase it to bring it back.
Okay.
They paid $1,300 and purchased the break front unit.
Okay.
Bring it back home. They live about 40 minutes from where the garage sale was. Bring it back home. Friends help take it out, put it in, and they proudly have it in their living room.
Okay.
So far, so good,
Mm-hmm.
right? They are going to paint the living room about a week later after purchasing the break front unit.
Mm-hmm.
As they go through the painting process while taking a break, they had to move the break front unit out from the wall so that they can go in and paint that area.
Okay.
In order to make it a little bit lighter, because it was just the two of them, they removed all the items that had been in there, but also there were drawers in there.
Mm-hmm.
Took the drawers out, and upon placing two of the drawers down, on the lower side of each drawer is a large manila envelope. You know what a manila envelope is? It's a manila envelope taped to the bottom of two of the drawers.
Okay.
Intrigue now is happening,
Yes.
right? Both of them look at each other somewhat startled and yet excited, like, what have we possibly found? Each stops the painting, sits down. Husband looks at wife. Wife says, I'm nervous. Why don't you open the envelopes? Husband's like, I don't care.
Okay.
Each envelope with hard tape is in around the envelope to tape it to the bottom of the drawer. Someone has clearly taped something there
Yes.
for the purpose of it not falling.
Right.
The husband takes the tape off, opens a manila envelope, and inside that manila envelope is $3,000 in cash. And he could tell because in order to put $3,000 cash, the envelope's got to look full.
Yeah.
So $100 bills,
Okay.
$3,000 in cash. Now, there's a second envelope.
Mm-hmm.
Takes the tape off, opens a second envelope. At the top of the envelope inside is a letter. Or it's a sheet of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls out the sheet of paper. And all it says is surprise in capital letters with an exclamation mark. And says one last gift of $10,000. That envelope has $5,000 in it. Here's the problem. What's the problem?
Well, you're missing $2,000.
You're missing $2,000. Now, they're sitting there with $8,000,
Mm-hmm.
a envelope, and a letter that is not signed. What do you do? Hard stop, part one. What do you do?
I assume it's from the original owners or from whoever I bought it from, and they wanted to leave a gift. I'm keeping it.
Wait. You think the previous owners wanted to give you a gift?
That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, you think, hey, you know what? Great people, we're generous. Let the next person buy this and get
That's
this.
the only thing I'm thinking of, and I don't care at that point. Hey, there's apparently $2,000 missing. I don't know how or why,
The
but
two
I'm
spent-
also sitting here with $8,000, so I'm not complaining.
The two spent the rest of the weekend sick to their stomach, not knowing what to do. The first thing is we should call them and give the money back. The second thing is we pretend like we don't know what happened and maybe it's still there.
It says surprise. Here's $10,000.
The couple waited until Wednesday of that week to take the money to the bank and make a deposit and decided to just let it sit as they were going to figure out what they wanted to do. Quickly, 10 o'clock hour, WYGM Orlando, WJR, HD2, Cocoa Beach. So now they put the $8,000 into their bank.
Mm-hmm.
They agree to not spend it because they're torn on what to do.
Okay.
You would say, keep it.
Yep.
Spend it, do whatever you want.
Yep.
Your money.
Yep.
Not thinking twice.
Correct.
Not calling the place you bought it from. Nothing.
Nope.
You move on.
Yep.
Maybe most of the audience agree with Chris, which you can text at 5857. You can understand all the nerves of these people, right?
I don't know why.
Okay. All right.
I don't know why.
Life is good. Life is fine.
Until
6 weeks later, the wife calls her husband at work in a panic.
oh boy.
She's received an email from the last owner of the break front. They don't know if maybe they bought it from someplace, right?
Mhm.
Received an email from the person that did the yard sale that says, I wonder if you have successfully figured out or found an item that was not meant to be part of the sale.
Uh-huh.
It was recently brought to my attention that there may have been something taped under the drawers in the break front unit that belongs to my family. Is it possible that I could come by and pick it up? They don't know that this couple has found it yet, but they've just tipped them off.
Yeah.
What do you do now?
Oh, now I'm the nice guy.
See, Chris had no morals at all before. He's taking the money. He's buying Cowboy Packer tickets. He's going on a big trip. Now it's like, oh, gee, I don't know what to do.
Oh man. I would have them describe what it is they are looking for. Have them describe it, because maybe it's something else.
Okay. They don't respond for several days to the email. A second
I don't
email.
know how she gets the email though.
Well, that's a great question. Apparently, when they were doing the stuff online, okay, what the sellers were doing
Mm-hmm.
to gauge who was interested in certain items, you had to like respond saying, "Hey, I'm interested in such and such item." Apparently,
Okay.
they don't respond for several days. Another email comes, and here's the ultimate twist. You ready?
Boy.
Another email comes from what is apparently the sister of the seller.
Okay.
The sister of the seller says, Look, I'm sorry for what is obviously an uncomfortable situation, and my sister may not realize what had happened. Our father passed away 8 years ago, and as I understand from other relatives, the $10,000 was left to be found at some point by somebody in the family. I would hope that you can do the right thing and return the money. Please let me know a time that works for you that we can meet to make the exchange. The brake front unit that you purchased is yours. There's no question about that, but I hope you do the right thing for my family. Here's the question. You're asking for $10,000 back. There was only $8,000 in cash. So if you want to do the right thing, Chris Vasquez, they're going to want to know what happened to the $2,000. Now, you're in the middle of this.
There's so many questions here. Who did they buy the brake front unit from?
They bought it from a woman, but this woman's sister is...
No. The original, like the seller.
Oh, I don't know. I
want to know who they...
I have no idea.
Who they bought it from.
I have no idea. And apparently one sister learned that there was something because the other sister had no idea, or maybe someone in the family said, wait, you sold that brake front unit. And apparently others knew that somebody left money there. But what do you do now? They think it's $10,000. There was $8,000 in 2 sealed manila envelopes. So now, if you want to get money back, they'll accuse you of taking $2,000. By the way, I don't have an answer because they still haven't decided what to do.
Again,
they haven't acknowledged that they found anything. So the couple that purchased the brake phone unit can say, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I'm confused because if they knew that money was left for them in the brake front unit, why did you not look for it?
No, what I think happens is one sister has the brake front unit. I don't know if it was mom and dad's. Dad dies, mom moves. They take the brake front unit, and maybe either the other sister or somebody else in the family knew that the dad left money somewhere. Clearly, the sisters didn't know. I don't think the sister would have put it up for sale knowing that there's cash in there. So I think somebody goes, wait, you sold that brake front unit? Hey, I'm sorry to break the news, but maybe your dad wanted it as a surprise that someday somebody would find it because he writes surprise. You're 10,000. The couple that bought the brake front unit has still not acknowledged that they know that there was cash there. So would you just pretend like, I don't know what you're talking about, leave me alone? What a spin.
I know.
What a spin.
No,
What a story. What a story. Here's my question also for Richard Hale. Legally, do you have any obligation to give anything back? I don't know if you have any obligation to give anything back.
How many times do we see it and like someone wants to sell a storage unit or something and there's something left behind that wasn't meant to?
Well, those are scams on TV. They write that down. But okay, so what do you do? Would you say, listen, I have no idea what you're talking about. I've looked under every drawer. There's nothing here. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I gave you $1,300 for the brake front unit. Have a good day. To me, I think the sisters are SOL. Sorry.
Again, I want to know is, so not the person who sold the brake front unit, but the sister of the person who sold the brake front unit knew there was money.
No, well, apparently someone told her.
So either way, someone knew that there was money.
I'm guessing
they had it for how long?
And I don't know if the mom's alive. I mean, they mentioned the dad. Maybe the mom learned. Wait, you sold that brake front unit, and she was waiting for one of the daughters to someday find it. I don't know. That part I don't know.
And how long do you, if you're the mom, if she's still alive, how long do you sit on this information?
I don't know.
Because it's been what you said, 8 years?
9 years.
9 years.
I don't know. I don't know. I think the couple who bought the brake front unit has no obligation. And you say, well, I mean, guilty conscience. Okay, I don't argue that part would weigh heavily. That part would weigh heavily. Someone
in the seller's family should have said something at some point.
Which is why I think it's okay if the couple who bought the brake front unit says, I'm sorry, I paid you what you asked for. I gave you $1,300 for that unit. That was our exchange. What was left inside was up to you to look through everything and clean it out before you sold it to me.
Do you want to add another twist to it?
Sure.
If I'm the couple that buys, if I'm our listeners that bought the brake front unit, I go back to that family and say, where's my other $2,000? Where's my other $2,000?
Yeah.
I was told 10.
But can you imagine? But there was only 8,000 in there. But he wrote 10,000 on the letter, and someone said, "Hey, it's 10,000." So if you have the conscience going, hell, give it back, and you get back 8,000, I'm like, oh, so you stole 2,000? I didn't steal anything. There was $8,000
You're
in
lucky
there.
you're getting the 8 back.
So you're almost encouraged to just say, I don't know what you're talking about, and keep the money. It's a tough spot.
It is. I want to be the nice guy, but I'm so cynical now that I would assume that whatever they're telling me is a lie and they just want money. I'd keep it.
Well, what's a lie? They know about the letter. They know about the supposed amount. Somebody knew in the family.
If I'm your listeners, I'm not buying it.
What do you mean not buying it?
I'm not buying what they're selling.
Well, how would they know that there was money in there? She sent an email 6 weeks after the purchase. So clearly someone in the family told them you sold that break front unit.
I'm sinister.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not sinister. I'm cynical.
Okay. Just imagine you try to do the right thing, like, oh, so you stole $2,000. I didn't steal anything, man. Pops here couldn't count, okay? So I don't know if the old man was sipping the Irish whiskey late in the night, but there ain't $10,000 in here, okay? Yeah.
No.
Tough spot.
I give it back.
You would.
Yeah.
The $8,000 you give back.
Mm-hmm. And I would explain, hey, I found it. I see the letter. I see 2 manila envelopes. One only had 3. The other one had 5. It is what it is. And if they want to fight for it, if they want to fight for that other $2,000, then there's going to be some issues.
Yeah, I don't think they have any grounds to take legal action against you.
I don't think so either.
What a story. What a story.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Back more to be the sports next.
What's good, locos? This is Angel from the Monsters in the Morning on Real Radio 104.1, and you're listening to the voice of UCF, Marc Daniels, and the Beat of Sports on FM 96.9 The Game. You want real sports talk? You got it right here.
All right, a flood of emails on the listener, a flood of texts and listener emails. Just hang in, and Chris is going to get to a bunch of them. We'll do this in just a little bit, all right? But I know we had a lot of reaction to it.
Yes. A few mixed reactions.
It's a very complicated issue. It really is. Speaking of complicated issues, and we're going to get to the sections a little bit. As we speak in Washington, the race is on regarding the Protect College Sports bill that I don't know if it's going to get to the Senate floor or not. The question is, can you get the Big Ten or the SEC aboard? This is what may be something, I don't know if it saves college sports, but this has been going on for a while, and there's a political side to this, and our next guest has been working on this story for a while in Washington. Jacob Wendler joins us to share the latest on this, and he's doing the good work at Politico on this story with his colleagues. Jacob, welcome. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for joining. Where do we stand? Because even as you and I speak, I know you just posted some stuff that the senators involved here have tried to update some things. A lot of this is to appease the Big Ten of the SEC. So at 10:18 on this Thursday, where do we stand on the latest of this bill? And does it have a chance to get to a vote before the summer recess?
Yeah, as you say, things are changing rapidly. The Senate Commerce Committee has now given the SEC and the Big Ten two separate deadlines to reply to updated versions of the bill. They've missed both of those. The most recent one was at 10 a.m. this morning, just 8 minutes ago, and that was after they received a final version of bill text around 1 a.m. last night. So the conferences are still reviewing the bill, and they'll be meeting with their respective presidents and chancellors this afternoon to decide how to proceed. In regard to the bill's fate, it really remains uncertain. We spoke to both Ted Cruz and John Thune yesterday. Cruz said he still has hope of this hitting the floor next week, and Thune didn't rule out that possibility. But for that to happen, it really would need to see a deal today with those two conferences to get a floor vote scheduled before recess.
Jacob, give me timeline first, then I'll ask you about some of the details of the bill. Why was this morning a timeline which is not going to be met because the Big Ten SEC don't have calls until later today with presidents and ADs? But what is the real timeline? Because the Senate and Congress goes to recess next week. Is it today? Is it tomorrow? Can they still get something done to get the bill to the floor next week?
Yeah, to get it to the floor next week, due to the way that the Senate works, they really would need to have the bill text finalized and have the stakeholders on board today. If that doesn't happen, it just seems exceedingly unlikely that there would be a possibility of getting a floor vote scheduled before they head out to recess.
All right, what are the biggest issues for the Big Ten and SEC? And I'm trying to not complicate it with all the language that's out there, but for years, the SEC and Big Ten beg, boy, if we can just get Congress to help out. Okay, well, here's Congress wanting to help out. What are their sticking points that we've had to get to where we are that's changed in the last 48 hours? What's been added? What's been tweaked?
Sure. So the newest version of the bill, according to a version obtained by Politico, is more or less the same as the recent one. There are some small tweaks in there, including a pool of funds for retaining student athletes that was added in the last version. That's been upped a little bit from $20 million to $22.5 million, in addition to another $5 million exception from the revenue share cap that now could be used not just for women's sports, but also other non-revenue sports like Olympic sports. The SEC and the Big Ten still have a number of sticking points that they don't feel have been addressed. A lot of those have to deal with this media pooling provision that's been added to the bill. And they say they really want to make sure that this is voluntary. You know, committee staffers who we've spoken to say they've done everything they can to make sure that it's clear, including adding language saying that conferences won't be coerced to participate, but the SEC and the Big Ten still want to see additional language, including a carve-out for postseason that would make sure that they aren't coerced into participating. But lobbyists I've spoken to who are close to these conferences and directly engaged on the bill say that even if they're able to solve the outstanding issues with Title II, which is that media pooling revenue, they still aren't necessarily able to figure everything out without also addressing outstanding issues with Title I, which addresses a number of NIL issues, including preemption of state laws, which they want to see broadened.
The retention thing to me is hilarious. And I say this because all they're doing is they're just increasing the cap. I mean, that's all they're doing.
Right.
And now we're getting to $48 million. And I say this because, and I know you've been talking to people about this, who polices this? Who's going to police it? Even Congress, you still need somebody to police it. And I know what they're saying is, well, it would require approval. We just went through that before. I don't even understand how anybody thinks you can police the retention fund when in reality, we're just giving them another 20 plus million to pay, right? That's what this is.
Sure, and that's one of the remaining questions about a lot of the pieces of this bill is really who's going to be doing the enforcement. There's been a lot of questions about that, not only from the SEC and the Big Ten, but also from other conferences and stakeholders with regard to this new body that Congress is setting up and how it's going to work going forward.
I wonder, and you tell me, Jacob, with the people you're talking to, does the SEC and Big Ten really want something done, or can you just complain enough, give an image like, hey, we're talking to president's ADs, where the best scenario for them is this never gets to the floor, a recess happens, and then once they get back after Labor Day, we're in election mode of a midterm, and that the SEC and Big Ten have bought another football year and likely another academic, athletic year where nothing changes. I'm not quite sure they want to get something done. Do you believe that?
I think it's hard to say. I spoke to some folks this morning who said that some of the presidents that are engaged on this bill really do want to see a deal happen. So I think there is a world in which they decide that whatever language they've gotten at this point is the best text that they're going to see. But you raise a good point that, the Senate is dealing with a number of priorities right now, including legislation on cryptocurrency and the president's nominees for several top posts, with very few legislative days left this year and a large midterm election looming. So it's hard to say whether they're going to be able to reach some sort of deal here and with the necessary votes to get this across the final finish line on the floor.
I don't hold you to it, but I'm going to ask you to project the next 6.5 hours before the business day closes. Do you anticipate anything happening, or does this thing die today and doesn't get to the floor?
Yeah, it's really hard to say because, like I said, there have been other days when the conferences have been given deadlines, and those haven't necessarily been met due to ongoing negotiations. So we'll have to see, what kind of the tenor is of the conversations of the Big Ten and the SEC presidents when they're meeting this afternoon. I think there's a possibility that we see some sort of new position issued by the conferences after that, given that they've been told by the committee that the text of the bill is not necessarily changing at this point. But I think it's also possible we blow past another deadline without any meaningful progress. One
of the great things that I find humorous is, and again, I don't want to complicate people, multimedia rights holders are allowed to do deals, and it's basically how they've been funneling money to players. Yesterday, somebody did, requesting the contract that Ohio State has with J.P. Morgan Chase in the patch deal, reported $17 to $19 million. And Ohio State's official statement was, it's not our deal, talk to the multimedia rights holder. Like, are we kidding here or what? Like, what are we doing? Do you either want the rule or you don't want the rule? That's what I took out of that yesterday. I don't know what is going to happen. My guess is that this may get stuck. Jacob and his team are doing work at Politico on this. There's a political side of this that's real. It doesn't matter where your politics are, but as he says, they may be important to those in college sports, but there's a bunch of other things that the Senate and the House are trying to get done before recess. You can follow Jacob and his team's work. He's on X or Twitter, Jacob_Wendler. Jacob, thanks. I appreciate the update. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
We'll follow it. I was optimistic yesterday, but the more I read and talked to people, I don't believe the SEC and Big Ten want to get a deal done. So the optics of, hey, we'll talk, we'll have a conference, we'll get back. I think they are purposely doing nothing and hoping that if not today, by tomorrow, Senate Majority Leader John Thune does not get the bill, and it then is almost impossible because they're not just waiting on this, or like other things that matter. And I think it will, I wouldn't say die, but it's not going to get any attention before the recess happens next week. That's the update. Back and forth. The whole retention fund thing is it's nothing more than just adding to the supposed cap that everyone blows by anyway. And I'm not picking on Ohio State, but the multimedia rights holder thing has become the other way that you funnel money beyond what's supposed to be a cap that no one asks questions about. And when people through Freedom of Information Act ask Ohio State, can we get a copy of the contract? When Ohio State says, not our deal, it's our multimedia rights holder, in this case, Learfield. Really? Because you were out there promoting it on your social media channels. You were telling everybody Ohio State signs a deal. So it's not your deal. It's their deal?
So that be considered false advertising?
What it is circumventing the supposed rules that you agreed to is what it is. That's what it is. They're a public institution. And like, it's not our deal, it's Learfield's deal. Well, why do they do it that way? They do it that way because that's how you funnel money that's supposed to count towards rev share. So anyway, all right, let's get to some of the text messages to the listener email on the supposed to be 10K that was 8K found in the breakfront unit. Again, I just want to add, I think, and I don't know, the father that passed away years ago may have been a really funny guy, maybe a very wealthy guy. He's like, I'm going to screw with them. Years after I'm gone, let them fight over what is the missing $2,000 that never existed, and he put $8,000 and wrote a note saying $10,000.
I think it's
That's what I think.
someone in that family should have realized at some point within the 9 years that was in their family. The breakfront unit was in their family. Hey, there's money somewhere in here.
I would agree. And maybe the family's like, wait, you sold the breakfront unit.
And then why are you selling something your dad left you? Jerks.
Wow. Chris off the top rope. Go ahead.
Someone says, my wife's legal department said the couple has no legal obligation to return the
I don't
money.
think they would, yeah.
Finders keepers. Christian thing to do is to give it back.
Oh, that's it. Make us feel guilty by bringing religion into it. Okay. Yeah.
Time to get the people's court involved. I agree with
Which one? If it's Wapner, this thing's done in, 3 minutes. If it's Judge Judy, you're just yelling at everybody.
Be done in 30 minutes.
Stop yelling. Go ahead.
I agree with Daniels, but donate $4,000 to charity.
Oh, tax write-off. Smart person. Yeah.
Yep. Had actually a couple of those.
Yeah.
New number. Who's this?
That's good. Well, they emailed. I don't think they have a telephone number. And then Chris asked about an address. I don't believe that they have the address. And again, how they have the email address is you had to register your email address to get access to some of the antique items that was being sold at the garage sale.
And then we got keep it, donate it to charity, write it off on your taxes.
Has anybody said give it back to them?
Yes. Got to return the money. There's one of those. Oh, no. Hold on. As much as I would need that $8,000, I would give it back due to karma. So
how about if I do this? Yeah, I might have some of it. What are we talking about deal here?
I mean, technically, I already gave you 13.
I'm thinking of a number. What are you thinking?
I already gave you 13. Like
yeah, I mean,
1,300.
again, they paid full price. Or the asking price for the breakfront unit. They paid him $1,300. By the way, if there was no part 2 or 3, which was you found these 2 envelopes below 2 drawers, hard stop, what do you do?
Is there another drawer that's maybe got the other
No,
2
they
rings?
look. There's nothing else. Yeah. I mean, I would start pulling everything out.
By the way, I want an update within the next couple of weeks from them.
I'll ask him. I mean, there's no update right now. I guess the family is still trying to reach out to say, hey, can you get the money back?
And then at what point do you respond to their emails and be like, hey, look, either I don't have it or I do have it, I'm not giving it back. At what point do you just be like, stop emailing me?
I would email pictures of a vacation you took so they think you spent the money. Hey, sorry.
Out of the office.
Out of town. You're making it rain on your wife at a bar beachside. Right. I do think
we're going to hell.
Going. Got real estate there. I do think I do have a little bit of a heart and soul. I do think it would eat away at you a little bit.
Not enough to give it back.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
If I did, because you can find out a lot about people. Let's say I did the research and I found out this family's well off, man. This dad owned this business and they're well off.
Then all the more reason to keep it.
Because like if you went to the garage sale, let's say, I wasn't going to say the state, they asked me not. And you could tell this is a nice house, well-to-do family. That probably would play a role in whether. But if you went there and
if
you
they're
saw
struggling,
and you're like, man, there's young kids outside and like they're struggling, that would play a role. I got to be honest. That would play a role. But the awkward thing is the missing $2K, which is why I think the dad was kind of playing a joke. Because if you go here, take it back, they're like, I think we're missing $2,000. And you go, well, here's the letter.
Did they top to bottom search that thing Inside, outside, top,
I assume
bottom.
they just said that they looked at the rest of the break phone unit and didn't find anything else.
And there's like a hidden compartment that's got the other 2K.
What are you, Nick Cage and National Treasure here?
I'm just saying.
Next thing you know, we're at the Mason somewhere in South Dakota, and we're inside the. Anyway,
I'm just saying.
crazy story.
Yeah.
That's why your mind play. Wait. Can you imagine? Because part one is you found it. Part two is you do nothing, and then can you imagine his wife or the wife gets an email that goes, "Hey, after 6 weeks," you're thinking after 3-4 weeks, all right, we're good.
Yep.
And then 6 weeks, you get an email.
There's got to be some sort of statute of limitations. No?
Your heart would sink, right? You're just sitting there. Oh, it's an email. I don't know this email. Oh my God.
But then she didn't even know what it was.
Yeah.
Hey, I think my dad might have left something for me in the break
But
front
still, the
unit.
minute you see something, because you know what you found, and
Right.
someone goes, "Hey, I think," then you're like, "Uh-oh."
I'd say describe it. Can't describe it, then I don't know what you're talking about.
I'd come back and go, "Yeah, I found the cocaine and I gave it to the authorities. So I don't know who you think you trying to push drugs on us." Yeah.
Can you imagine if they wrote that back?
Your point about whoever in the family knew, they got some splaining to do.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know if the mom is
9
still alive,
years.
but someone's got to be like,
Someone
"You knew
someone
and
alive.
said on this?"
Someone alive in that family
Which,
knows about
again,
it.
I'm guessing. I still think the family's well off, and the dad may have been the ultimate joke. They're like, "Whatever, I'll play this game," and then they'll all argue over the missing $2,000 and laughing somewhere. Yeah,
They're probably like, that's why dad's in hell right now.
laughing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Cam Miller talks football with us next.
This segment is presented by Bowegan's Beer Company. Love data? Love analytics? Let's take a deeper dive into both as we talk to Cam Mellor,
What you know is very limited, and what you don't know is limitless.
the Chief Analytics and Data Officer at Pro Football Network. You can follow Cam on X or Twitter at Cam Mellor.
I don't go to ProFootballNetwork.com just because Cam Mellor joined us weekly. I go because it's fun, it's great, and as the season's approaching, you can spend hours there. So I do that. Yes, I'm promoting the great work that Cam and his team do. So that was a good pitch, wasn't it?
Your segues are improving weekly. It feels like you're a consummate professional. And honestly, I spend time on the couch after I'm done with work, mocking the mocks, looking at redrafts, doing it's not just because I work there either, because I truly do have fun afterwards.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. You can just do a deep dive with your team and compare and all sorts of things like that. I'm going to ask, I guess next couple of weeks, a bunch of 30,000-foot views. We just, the Big Ten's finishing up their media days. We've gone through the month of propaganda with all these leagues. But I'm going to ask you just from a broad view, and let me work from the team that's won 3 straight national championships. The best team on paper in the Big Ten on talent, as you would grade them, is who?
It's hard not to go Ohio State on paper. Indiana, I like what they did. I like what Kurt Signetti has brought in, and I like his ability to coach and maximize the talent. But it's hard to look at that Ohio State roster and even the true freshman they brought in with Chris Henry Jr. If he lives up to even half the expectations that he has for him, you're looking at the next star at wide receiver for them. And Julian Sayin with his ability at quarterback, it starts from there. But that offensive line is talented. That running back room is deep as well. And then you have arguably the best player in college football, Jeremiah Smith. And that's just the offense. And so it's hard not to go chalk and say Ohio State. But if we're looking at best roster overall, it's got to be the Buckeyes.
Is Oregon second? Is Indiana second?
If I had to choose from there, it will go to Oregon. And it seems silly to discuss this after we've talked about how good Signetti has been and what he did and what he pulled from the transfer portal to get there. But again, Dante Moore at quarterback, and then you look at how deep that running back room was. If you go back to even last year, they were supposed to have Mekhi Hughes be this star running back, and he didn't even touch the field basically because of how good the other running back room was. DeCorian Moore breaking out as a freshman only should get better. And then a guy, probably a lesser known portal pickup in Iverson Hooks at wide receiver, probably the best true slot receiver that we have in college football right now as well. So there's a lot to like about that team, and that's not even touching on the offensive line or the defense in general.
Josh Hoover under Kurt Signetti and the personnel that he has there, it's just a big step. A couple years ago, I think there was a different view of Hoover. Not that he was bad last year, but it wasn't maybe that step. What now, Hoover, in what Signetti's got at Indiana is the difference?
I think this will be the best offensive line he has in front of him so far in his career. In TCU, those lines weren't that bad. They weren't upper echelon though. Like this line has the potential. And then I think the weapons. If you look at what Charlie Becker, wide receiver, was able to do down the stretch and through the playoffs, getting Nick Marsh from Michigan State as well with his potential he has, and then that running back room in general. But ultimately, that offensive line is going to give Josh Hoover the most time he's ever had to throw the ball. He's going to be able to play within the structure. And if Signetti and that offensive coaching staff, which he's kept relatively intact from his days at JMU, are able to do what they did and maximize the talent. If Curtis Rourke was a great G5 player coming and did what he did, and then obviously Fernando Mendoza, far exceeding the expectations that we all gave for him here as well. If he can do the same thing or even move Josh Hoover up, there's a lot to like with Hoover's arm and his talent and his abilities. So it's a great situation, probably the best situation for any portal quarterback we've seen this offseason. Who's
the best team on paper in the SEC?
Can I again go chalk? And Georgia? Honestly, I think that there's a lot of parity at the top of this SEC team's the perennial rankings. I like what LSU did in the portal. I like that Jordan Seaton's there with Sam Levitt, and I love that maybe Ole Miss has the best running back in Kawan Lacey. I don't know if there's another team, though, that can come close to the full roster and the continuity that this Georgia team has produced under Kirby Smart. And so even Gunnar Stockton can just play complimentary above average football, and that's a team that can still run the table, it feels like, just because of how talented they are everywhere.
He's there, so I can't say, take him away. But I mean, the question, if Trinidad Chambliss did not come back, and let's say Ole Miss didn't land one of the big portal guys, are they a 10-win team to a 8 or 7-win team? Is he that important?
Yes, he's that important. And it would have been interesting to see what they did with Deuce Knight if they found another portal quarterback, if they went and tried to do something else at the signal caller position. But with him in that roster, obviously he makes that offense go. And I mean, every quarterback does, but it feels like there were times last year when once he finally took over, his legs made some things happen that shouldn't have happened with a lesser quarterback. I'm not saying any of these guys can't be a dual threat like he can be, but it's abilities to understand the defense and I mean, at this point, he's as much of a veteran as they come in college football nowadays as well. And so he's been there, been around the block, obviously at Ferris State before him, but he made them go. And yeah, I think with what they have, they're a solid team, but they're not a sum of all their parts without Chambliss at quarterback.
I don't think one could argue that no conference has a bigger gap of the favorite to the rest of the group, even number 2 than the ACC. I don't think you make that argument to say no. But who's the second best team on paper in the ACC? Is it clearly Clemson? And if it's not, what does that say about what's happened to the talent there in the last few years?
It is clearly Clemson, and I think the gap though between 1 and 2 for Miami to Clemson is far greater than it would be from Clemson to either a Georgia Tech or an SMU, or even, I mean, at this point, probably not going to put anybody else there. But with the way that UVA, Virginia played at the end of the season, with if they can get complimentary football from everybody, the gap from probably 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 is lesser than that gap from 1 to 2. And I think the talent gap is because of recruiting and portal prowess, but also their inability to do anything in the college football playoffs recently. If you're a portal kid and you want to go and win a championship or compete for a championship and get more NIL money, because it all goes hand in hand at this point, you're going elsewhere. You're going to the SEC, the Big Ten, or even at this point, you're going to the Big 12 and not going to any team but Miami. And I think that's where that talent gap is. It's not just recruiting anymore. It's recruiting 365 all through the portal all year long.
I'll ask the same question about the Big 12. Maybe your answer is going to be Texas Tech, and maybe I am throwing an opinion in here. I understand that because they've spent a ton of money in their defense. They spent a ton of money, particularly linebacker. I would argue about BYU, 3 returning starters on the offensive line, a quarterback, was dinged up at the end of the year, but an effective quarterback, a running back, that gap I don't think is as big as people think, because I think returning 3 linemen, including a 4th that played a little bit last year, is valuable. So same question about who's the best team on paper and the gap of 1 to 2 and everybody else in the Big 12.
I am incredibly curious, like I'm sure the rest of the collective football world is, at what Texas Tech does with Will Hammond at quarterback. It's almost like they're the Atlanta Falcons, spent all that money on quarterbacks and they got nothing to show for. Will Hammond, will he be the guy to be that leads that team, and or are they just going to be a team of 21 starters without a real clear-cut quarterback that's going to propel them? I do think they're the best team on paper, but I think that if the gap from Clemson to SMU for 2 and 3 in the SEC or the ACC, it's BYU closing that gap. And I think, like you said, Bear Bachmeier at quarterback, we saw what he was able to do. He's only going to get better at this point. There's not a better running back to have in his backfield, though, than LJ Martin, I think, in the entire country. And then if you look at what that offensive line will be able to do for him, and then I think that secondary is arguably one of the best in the entire country, not just in the Big 12.
And that projected offensive line, I think, on opening day, will have at least 3 guys that are 23 or older.
Yeah, and that's a huge. If you don't know, you know now, but that's huge in college sports. You're going up 19-year-old edge defenders and defensive tackles against these grown men at 23, 24, 25 with kids. Like it's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Allow me to pivot for a second because I'm curious your thoughts. Late July or early August in the NFL, guys that are holding out and want a new contract. That's not new, but I want to ask you about a couple of different storylines here. Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs are 2 guys that are under contract, facing that final year before the next contract. We've talked over the years about running backs. I don't know if your thought has changed on the position, because we have had some of these franchise backs like Bijan Robinson and clearly Saquon Barkley for that 1 year in Philadelphia. What's your view of how you would handle running backs? No one gets that 3rd big contract. Everyone tries to secure the 2nd contract. But how do you view the running back position today, and how and when to pay guys?
Yeah, I feel like it's a case-by-case basis. But if you have players that you've sunk in as much resources as you have for a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson, they're worth that 2nd contract. Now, are they worth what they probably think that they're worth? No. And do you have to have the happy median? Sure, for the business, it is a business. But I will say it's changed. Running backs don't matter is now no longer the case. I feel like it's almost all running backs don't matter. And there are certain guys that can make your offense a little bit better. Gibbs and Bijan are those two players, especially for the Falcons' sake, where they seem to can't not be able to get the quarterback situation correct. You got to have a guy that's going to be that workhorse in your backfield that's able to carry the ball in those crucial situations, crucial moments. And then Gibbs obviously playing in complement to as he's done. You're going to lose all your running backs in Detroit if you don't pay Gibbs. So it feels like you have to saddle up and pay those two.
I have a friend that coached the NFL for a while that said, and he's a big baseball guy, said, Mark, running backs are just like pitchers. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, hits allowed. And he goes, you got to be careful when you get a running back that gets a bunch of hits. And he goes, you got to be careful. That's why teams are petrified of that. Vita Vea looks like he's going to be elsewhere. 31's not old to you and I in the NFL, though. But and he's probably is going to make him more than running backs. But there's a part that says the Bucs wouldn't be smart to give him a new deal. They drafted that position. They signed young guys to that position. There's a money aspect of this. He's 31. He can still produce, but I don't know if that's a good investment. Is it?
It's not. And I believe that's the growing sentiment around the NFL as well, is that do you think we're going to give 31-year-old Vita Vea a large lucrative contract? Think again. And I think the buyer's market for him is going to be a lot less than what he thinks. And maybe that will behoove the Bucs in the long run if he tests the hold in and doesn't get a lot of interest, and all of a sudden here he is wanting to get the hometown discount. I wouldn't. Yeah, it's 31's not. I'd love to go back there when my back doesn't hurt when I roll out of bed in the morning, But for him, 31 years old, it doesn't look like it's going to pay off for him in the long run to get one of those mega deals that he thinks he might be worth. Just
to follow, Chris and I debated this the other day. I have a theory about the Bucs. You have a general manager that knows they can't win the Super Bowl. They can't, and a lot of weird stuff has to happen. But they're in a division that 9 wins gets you a home playoff game. And that almost is forcing you to not go all in to kind of the rebuild on the fly. So therefore, I don't want to pay Baker $50 million a year, but I need him. Vita Vea, I think the Bucs are a little bit hesitant because you could win that division with 9 wins.
I mean, it's the growing joke, right? They're the brunt end of a joke. The NFC South is, but I didn't piece those pieces together. I wouldn't have said that, but it makes a ton of sense if you look at it on the surface. Yeah, I mean, even 8 wins, 8 and 9 could win that division. It feels like this year as well. Once again, a losing record to host a playoff game. It seems crazy, but it does seem like you would be hesitant. It feels like letting Mike Evans go was the pinnacle moment. I feel like that you don't need him to win that division. You don't need Vita Vea to win the division. You do need Baker, and you need to keep him happy. But other than that, it really feels as if I would play hesitant as well when you put it that way.
2 final ones. If Aaron Donald comes back, they can't add Vita Vea. I mean, that's illegal to have a defensive front like that with the Rams, right? That would be illegal.
It's illegal to have Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett on the same front, not to mention if you did add something like Vita Vea. I mean, it's hard to say that a defensive line is must-watch football, but I don't think that there'd be a better 1-2 combination. Even Aaron Donald not having played in a handful of years as well. It doesn't matter to me. Garrett and Donald, you're watching every single snap.
Last question. Chris believes that Cooper Rush makes the Falcons a Super Bowl contending team. I'm joking, but
I was going to come at you with a Dallas Cowboys joke as well. I saw the tell me a dad joke, and it was you're encouraged to carry a clear backpack to Cowboys games. And I don't know if you know why, Chris. It's to carry his last year's hopes.
Oh, wow. So that's what we're doing?
Yeah. I went there.
That's what we're doing.
Sorry.
I like that. In fact, I think that should be posted on the Instagram page.
That ain't gonna happen.
I think that was fantastic.
That's not going to happen.
Continue to book me. I'm sorry, Chris. I love you. You know this.
ProFootballNetwork.com, on X or Twitter at Cam Melder. Please support the work that his team is doing. It's good stuff. It's fun as football season's approaching. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks as always.
Cam Melder off the top rope with a cowboy joke.
What are we doing?
Why not?
I love Cam. I thought we were boys. And
if you can't joke, then what's the love for? Come on. You can't joke. What's the love for?
That was out of nowhere too. The stray.
I liked it.
Out of nowhere.
Did you see what happened at Giant Camp yesterday when Odell Beckham Jr., Malik Neighbors lined up? You didn't see what happened? The defense asked if they could leave the field because they felt there was no way to stop them. Yeah, they ended practice because Harbaugh's like, we're done then. Don't need anything. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, well, we can't stop them. We'll just leave. Yeah, that's how good it was.
That's going to be about the Giants defense all year long.
Yeah, that's how good it was.
Yeah, sure.
No? Dart looked left, and Beckham can't get off the line. He's like, really? You can't? Give me a moment here.
It's going to be a long season.
Bite your tongue. 1 week from tonight,
Yep.
we got a Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, we do.
1 week from tonight. Back. 11 o'clock hour kicks off the news next.
Let's really do the news.
Yes.
Now it is time to do the news.
But now it's time for the news.
11 o'clock hour, WYJ Orlando, WJRR, HD2 Cocoa Beach, the Beat of Sports. I'm Marc Daniels. Chris Vasquez is over there. Well, big breaking news on LeBron James. Chris is happy that we begin where reports are that James and ESPN are close to a deal to produce a Last Dance-style documentary in his career. NBA crews have filmed him since he was a rookie, using never-before footage, and now ESPN in a partnership is there to shoot what could be the final year or more of LeBron James.
Who
Chris?
the hell cares?
Well, he's not really in the headlines much, and don't really know much about his agent. So, yeah. I maintain this, and I don't even know how to be able to argue this. If not for a pandemic, The Last Dance would not have gotten anywhere near the attention that it got because our lives would have gone on with so many entertainment options. But because The Last Dance came to you during a pandemic with little to no live sports, we had nothing else to watch. So we made it a big deal, as ESPN did, and how they aired it. And we talked about it on shows like this because there was nothing else going on. So it's not that James isn't worthy of a career documentary. It's just a category that is flooded with content. And, okay, some behind-the-scenes stuff, but if you wonder why he chose the Sixers, one of many reasons can be basketball. If you say, well, what about more money in Miami? Whether you think Fanatics did something fishy or not, there was always going to be other dollars there. As many people believe, the Fanatics partnership with James is going to work whether he was in Philly or Miami, regardless of Michael Rubin's previous minor stake in the Sixers. But he ain't doing this for free. Okay.
Well, now there's the big deal that he said he's going to be living in New York while then traveling to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And
who cares where he lives?
Well, they're making the big deal about his $8 million.
Who's they?
People.
Yeah.
His $8 million salary over the next 2 years.
Just ask my grandmother when she says they. Who's they? She goes, it's those people out there.
And he's spending more money to live in New York than he would in Philly, and then the commute.
Yeah,
and
because
the
that's an
travel.
issue. Yeah, I'm sure the city tax is a concern to him right now. Yeah. I'll pay extra for my Starbucks next week if that'll make it better. Okay. Yeah. Who cares where he lives? Whatever. I don't care.
To quote Family Guy here.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
Thanks, Peter. Bill Belichick had no comment about his GM Mike Lombardi on paid leave while an investigation continues to an HR matter. Derek Scuba may have had his last appearance at home with the Tigers yesterday. Left with a 7-1 lead. The Tigers wanted to blow the game. Scuba left the mound. He got a standing ovation from the crowd. Trade deadline coming up on Monday. He'll pitch for the Dodgers next Thursday. What?
Do not put that in the atmosphere.
Huh? What? Huh? You do know my theory about why Ohtani's not pitching.
Why?
He needs the unders for his career
projection. That's what we're
For
doing.
the season projection.
That's what we're doing.
You don't think he's hurt, do you?
That's what we're doing.
He saw the numbers like, whoa, someone's getting close to what the projection was for the year. Huh? A little bit harsh, huh?
A little bit. Dipping in the Kalshi?
No.
No, not you, Ohtani.
Oh. Who knows? Let's see. What else do we have? How about yesterday in the NFL? Taysom Hill not going back to the Saints.
I would actually love him in Dallas.
Let's sign with somebody.
He's definitely earned a spot on an NFL
just
roster.
have the fair expectation of what the role is going to be.
He's a gadget guy.
Gadget guy.
Gadget guy.
He walks in, hey, you're the gadget guy.
Inspector Gadget.
Gadget guy. Nothing wrong with that. Baker Mayfield will address the media at the conclusion of the Bucs practice this morning. Not going to say anything groundbreaking. He'll just say, hey, stand by what I said and focus on the season. I've gambled on myself before. I'm going to gamble on myself now. And
I can appreciate that from his standpoint.
Yeah.
But actually stand by it. And if they say, let's talk, hey, you guys had your chance to talk. We'll talk after the season.
Yeah, doesn't mean nothing on July 30th. Whatever. Jake Browning back up in Tampa.
Yeah, they have no plan once Baker goes.
That Jalen Daniels, the guy that came back to Kansas for a blank ton of money last year. 6'1", he's not 6'1". Look at that depth chart. Not 6'1". What else do I have here for you? Let's see. When I get to this, LeBron James Sixers jersey set a Fanatics record for jersey sales in the first 48 hours. Ranked it. Which athlete previously held the record for the first 48-hour jersey sales? Not going back that far.
Would it be Wemby?
Not necessarily the same sport.
Okay. Would it be Otani?
Yeah. I bet he bet the over on jersey sales that day too, huh? Is that what he did? Huh? Have you followed any of the, ESPN's got a 30 for 30 thing on the whole Otani story again, right? So they're dropping these clips and some of the people that did investigative work, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. They don't really have the smoking gun. It still is cloudy about, was it the interpreter or him? They're like, here's the smoking gun. I'm like, that phone call to the bank is not new. That was
right.
It's almost like, now do you believe me? I'm like, listen, I think that there's some shady things that went on, but you still haven't said, here's the proof. The wrong guy's in jail. This guy belongs in jail. Like, they keep dropping these promo clips, and I'm like, that's not the smoking gun. Show me where here's the exact evidence. This is what Otani did. You caught him on, audio, but they keep throwing out the same stuff that was there 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Nothing will ever come out while Otani's playing.
No, I think the interpreter took the fall. I think the family of the interpreter has been taken care of and took the fall.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that Otani was the guy gambling. I think he knew what was going on.
Yeah, what was it, $20 million supposedly that the interpreter took?
Yeah, great financial advisors. I don't know where it went. In about 25 minutes, the history lesson. And wow, how that thing changed from when it took place. We come back. Somebody sent in a text saying, Mark, what's the Infantino FIFA story? Please tell me you're joking.
Yeah, here's the exact quote.
Yeah.
Mark, I haven't heard it anywhere else, radio or TV sports, that story about Infantino that you talked about yesterday.
You haven't heard it anyplace else?
Why is no one else reporting that story?
One, I appreciate you listening and putting value in what I'm telling you and reporting, but outside of this country, I don't think there's a bigger story in sports outside of this country. And the next guest will do a deeper dive into it. Coming up.
You can't spell sports talk radio without Marc Daniels. This is the beat of sports.
We talked about this story and the texter. I hope that texter's not offended. I wasn't picking on them when they had asked about, hey, Mark, what else is going on with the Infantino and FIFA story? And they hadn't heard much about it. And I said, outside of America, it might be the biggest story in sports. Our next guest covers soccer and did a great job with the crew at Front Office Sports covering the World Cup. Margaret Fleming is kind to join us. Margaret, good morning. Thanks for joining us. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm great. I want to play something that went viral yesterday that is part of this story that had people kind of rolling their eyes, and you've heard it, but this is Gianni Infantino yesterday. Like, hey, this is no big deal. Let me just explain. Let me play a clip for you, and then we'll do a deeper dive.
Well, FIFA for Enterprise, or FFE, is actually a proposal, an offer. It's part of a democratic process, a consultation process. And above all, it is an opportunity, but not an obligation.
Well, that says so much there, Margaret. Let's start. Tell me when you first learned about this concept from FIFA and your initial reaction. Then I'll ask you about what's been the reaction of the soccer world.
I guess I'll just be real candid. I was having coffee with somebody that I've met through doing soccer stuff. Had a great morning. Looked down at my phone and I have a message from my boss, and I just responded back, "What the heck?" And heck was not the word I used. I was really like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." And yeah, I found out, same way everybody else did, including a lot of these continental bodies. I found out from media reports, and some European outlets found out. And I think I was just kind of surprised. I think in some ways it kind of felt like, okay, finally they're saying the quiet part out loud, or not even quiet, because Infantino has been saying, look at how North America commercializes sports. There's so much to learn. Like he's been saying that. So in some ways it wasn't too shocking, but at the same time, there was a lot of meat on the bone there, and as you just dig in more and more, there's just so many questions that come up.
This is not an idea kicked around during halftime of a World Cup match. This clearly is something that he, I guess, secretly with his group had been working on. Then to roll this out. So thoughts on that, and then what was the rest of the world's reaction? Some people obviously saw what UEFA said in CONCACAF, but this was one of these like, whoa, where'd this come from?
Yeah, several of the continental bodies said, we had no idea this was coming. We're angry that we didn't know. They didn't even say, oh, we have opinion. They were like, we'll look into it, but we didn't even know this was coming, and we're upset about that. There are processes to tell us about this. There have been meetings. There was a meeting before the World Cup final, or around the World Cup final. There were opportunities to communicate this, and then to have it rush out a week after the World Cup through the media, and then kind of this hastily thrown together press release and all that. It was just, it's kind of wild. So I think, the way it came together was kind of crazy. Obviously, completely not surprised that UEFA was upset about it. UEFA's been upset with a lot that Gianni Infantino does, and they're, competitors and rivals in a lot of ways. So the European response was definitely expected, I would say, in a lot of different, people within that. You saw a lot of different stakeholders in England were especially upset. In Spain, we just saw UEFA had an emergency meeting today where they, it's coming out in the news right now, kind of live and breaking, that they're prepared to kind of boycott all FIFA tournaments if they go through with this. So that's obviously a huge threat. But elsewhere in the world, we saw several, confederations like CONCACAF, you mentioned, and the AFC in Asia said, we're upset. We didn't know about this. We saw in Africa, I think they said that they were excited. Something kind of it seemed like sort of more measured and didn't really kind of crap on it too much. I think I forget exactly the wording, but Oceania had kind of a similar we'll look into it thing. So reactions are spanning from lukewarm to a little angry to absolutely furious and ready to pull out of tournaments.
Let me get back to them in a second, but for those that are casual to this and kind of wonder, and I'm going to try to explain this, and if I get this wrong, please add. He wants to start a new company that says, hey, my private equity, my PE friends and my friends at JP Morgan, they'll own 20% of it. I mean, we'll own 80% of it, but they're going to take a stake, and then we're going to really maximize the revenue opportunity. I'm going to make all this money. What's the grift of this? And maybe part of it is the people connected to it, because he suddenly became great friends with a lot of people when he came here. But explain what that side of it is and why it's so odd and fishy. And then it leads to, as you said, some countries have taken a lukewarm approach. Yeah, some African countries will be happy to take $40 million because they're not going to get any place else. So what's the problem with the proposal for those that may not understand?
Yeah. A lot of people are taking this in a lot of different ways. Some people are upset that the lead investor is connected to the Trump family. It's Jared Kushner's younger brother, who's married to Ivanka. Also, their dad is Trump's ambassador and was pardoned by Trump and all this stuff. So there's a lot of political ties. There's a lot of FIFA and Trump going on anyway. So you saw with the Balogun red card and everything like that. People are already especially wary of this Infantino-Trump relationship. So some people are taking it that way. Some people are like, hey, FIFA is a governing body. It's the regulator of our sport. Now it's going full throttle on money making as well. It's going to be this nonprofit that's also for profit in some ways. So some people don't like that. Some people think that it's just simply wrong to be going full throttle on commercializing soccer like this in the U.S. Our teams are worth so much money and they make so much money, and that kind of business side of sports is really normal over here. It's a little different in other parts of the world. In Europe, you can go to soccer matches for really cheap. Tickets are really cheap. The prices for the World Cup were really abhorrent to some European fans and stakeholders in a way that in the U.S. they were pricey, but we're used to high ticket prices or things like that. So there's a lot to this that people are like, are you going to put matches behind a paywall? Are you going to put World Cup, things on Peacock and Paramount because maybe they're the ones with the highest bidders rather than keeping it free over the air? There's, our ticket price is now going to keep going up because ticketing is under this new commercial arm. What does this mean for fans? So there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Some people are just upset, will investors have a say over things? If somebody doesn't like a red card, are they going to be able to call and say something? So there's a lot that FIFA's pushed back on with a lot of this and is saying, no, they don't have a say, but there's still a lot of question marks. There's not a lot of transparency. I could keep going on about
No, but let me add to this. Gianni
Yeah.
Infantino has a reputation because he's earned it, and it's not a good one. But he's not a dumb person in the sense of the way he structured this, because the timing, and I don't know what the rush is, but he's telling people, hey, in the next 50 days, you got to decide. You want in his 40 million, you don't, I'll give you 10. But he knows how many votes he needs, and he's going to prey on the poor. You know that. I mean, you talked about some of these countries. Czechia yesterday acknowledged, we'll take the money. He knows how many votes he wants. He's probably going to get this, right?
It's tough. UEFA just came out unanimously and said, including Czechia, I guess. So they said that they're going to, they voted that they're going to skip tournaments if it goes through. But like you said before, $40 million is a lot. So basically, FIFA has said, if you accept this plan, you will get money for each cycle and World Cup cycle. And if you accept it, we'll give you 20 for this cycle and 22 for the next one or whatever it is. And it goes up by each cycle. But then they said, to sweeten the deal, we'll give you an extra 20 million this time. So it's 40 million. And if the plan doesn't go through, you'll get 10 million. And so that's a big difference. If you're, a country that, makes the World Cup every year, of course, or every 4 years, of course you're, oh, this is so horrible. But if you've never made a World Cup, if you're on the brink of a World Cup, if you're a country that really wants to be involved in this or what may have it, this is really, really huge money that could really accelerate your youth programs, your infrastructure, help you hire a really good coach, or, FIFA keeps throwing around that this could help the women's game so much in a lot of places. There's $40 million is a lot. Of course, people are nervous about would that actually go to football and not just
Yeah.
the executives?
Some of the
pocketing money?
corrupt politicians in some of those countries there would love to put it in their pocket, right? Yeah.
People are worried about
Yeah.
it. But I'll just say that's kind of why there would be support for this. And Gianni doesn't need Europe involved necessarily.
No.
There's 211 member associations, all the U.S. soccer and equivalents around the world, and he only needs half. So he doesn't need, Europe to be on board necessarily. He could do it without South America on board. He could pass it anyway.
Can I ask you, though, about UEFA? There's a little bit of hypocrisy going on here, okay? I understand the tough talk today of their statement, we'll boycott the World Cup. Margaret, remind me if I'm wrong here. They said the same thing about a 48-team World Cup, and then once they realized they were going to get more spots than anybody, they were cool with it. They also held the ground that they were going to expand Champions League, and now we had a whole different Champions League because what? It meant more money. So I understand the tough talk today, but boy, they've caved when they've been tough before. So is there a little bit of hypocrisy with UEFA today? Like, hey, here's the mirror, take a look.
There's a lot. There's a lot with UEFA and FIFA, and they said that they would boycott the every 2-year World Cup, and that plan then got scrapped. So there's been just this war back and forth between the two of them. The Club World Cup and the Champions League. FIFA trying to get into the club game.
Right, but their hands aren't clean either.
Yeah. There's Europe was so upset about the Balogun red card, and then the UEFA president skipped the final. And, there's some that's really showy and some that's really decisive. None of this could really, I'm not expecting at this point that we won't have Spain in the next World Cup, even though they're threatening this. I think that this will all get smoothed over before then, one would think. But there's just a lot of explosive talk back and forth. And I feel like we're almost reaching that boiling point. And I don't necessarily think we're quite there yet, but I think this could get really, really messy. And like you said, UEFA has its own problems. Fans are really upset. I saw some tweet that was like, it's bad when UEFA looks like the good guy.
when Sepp Blatter is critical to FIFA, then you've got a massive problem here. One last one. He's going to get reelected. I mean, I guess there could be a campaign, and people have suggested other individuals because he's got to win reelection. But, I mean, we talk about election security in this country. He's probably already rigged that election. There's no way he loses reelection, Infantino, right?
Well, so far, considering there's nobody up against him, he's winning that. But I think, it's kind of that same thing as before with he only needs half the vote, who he can kind of get behind him. And there's a lot of countries that he has really accelerated or is trying to accelerate the growth of football in their country. He's opening up World Cup spots for them. And they might be okay with some of this other stuff that he's doing. So for a lot of people, Infantino is not necessarily the supervillain that he is to Europe or to some of these other countries. So it's interesting. It's like even if they put up someone against him, he still has a lot of support. Several continental bodies have already come out and said that they support his reelection. So it's like, how much is it rigged, or how much has he kind of positioned himself to be supported already, and not necessarily in the best of ways from our perspective. But it's interesting. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that he has it rigged right now, but it certainly looks like even if somebody goes up against him, he would most likely still win it.
I just think it's set for a 64-team World Cup. Hydration break ain't going nowhere, and he's going to figure out how to make this happen, whether people scream or not, and UEFA will take more teams, but we shall see. You can find Margaret's work and the good work that people are doing in front office sports. She's at MG Fleming 12. That's MG Fleming 12. Thanks, Margaret. We'll talk again on this, I'm sure, down the line. Appreciate it.
Would love to. Anytime. Thank you.
Whatever. A few billion here, a few million there. Just think, I'm telling you, if you're a country 10 years ago that knew you had no chance of making a 32-team World Cup, none at all, and some guy comes along and says, I'm going to improve your chances because we're going to go from 32 to 48, and then says, You're still struggling, but you're so close. Now I'm going to make it a 64 team World Cup. And on the way there, I'm going to create a pool of tens of millions of dollars to give to your country so you can continue to grow the game. You think they're voting no? And that's all he had to do, because New Guinea's vote counts the same as England and America. And that's all he had to do, is to prey on those with the most need that have the same voice as those that don't need his money. And that's how he'll pull it off. The great world grift continues, known as FIFA. History lesson. Oh, it's a good one. Next.
All right, boys and girls, take a seat and listen up as we take a trip down memory lane with Marc Daniels in this week's history lesson.
All right. Today's history lesson takes us back, Chris, 50 years to the date. 50 years to the date! 1976. On this date, July the 30th. But our story begins many years before that. In 1949, this person was born in New York and would go on to have success in the athletic world. In 1949, this person was born with the name of William Bruce Jenner. October 28, 1949, became known as Bruce Jenner as he got older. Attended Sleepy Hollow High School in New Jersey for his freshman and sophomore year, then went to a high school in Connecticut. Earned a football scholarship to play at a small school in Iowa, but because of an injury to his knee, was forced to give up football. But recognizing his athletic ability, the track coach came along and suggested that a young Bruce Jenner take up the decathlon. Jenner knew very little about the decathlon, but quickly learned about the multi-event performance that was required by top athletes to win a special honor. And in the 70s, in track and field, the two most famous people was who won the 100 and who won the decathlon. So Bruce Jenner began to work his skills when it came to the decathlon. At the 1972 Olympic trials in Oregon, he was 11th after the first day of competition, climbed to 5th place, needing to make a jump to qualify. He was successful, 10th in the decathlon of the 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich, Germany. But Soviet Mykola Avalov was the greatest decathlete from a standpoint of performance and scores posted. But Jenner decided to prepare for 1976. He would take a different approach to training. There was a traditional way for decathletes to train, but he had a different plan. Jenner's plan was to find the best athletes at the individual sports that made up the decathlon and to work with them, to learn from them, to hone his skills in every category as opposed to the traditional, hey, put so much energy towards this or specialize in that. So Bruce Jenner began what became a 2.5-year journey of training differently and competing at U.S. championships and international competitions to give himself the best chance in 1976. By the time it came for the summer of 76, Bruce Jenner became a popular person among the U.S. athletes in preparation of the Olympics in Montreal. Even at international events where he would square off with his soon-to-be rival again, Jenner was gaining in expectations to get to the Summer Olympics in 1976. And when it came time for the decathlon over a 2-day period, Jenner was ready. But Avalov was intent on doing what he typically did, get out to a big lead on the first day, that by the time he went to bed before the second day, it would be almost impossible, and he would break the psychological will of those trying to beat him. But Jenner was one of only 9 athletes to run a sub-11-second 100-meter. He lost out to the Russian in the long jump, but Jenner closed the first day, finishing second in the shot put, high jump in the 400-meter, and he was within striking range of Avalov going into day number 2. Day 2 was a day filled with excitement because the American looked like he was going to beat the Soviet Union's most dominant decathlete ever. Jenner had success that day in the events, including the sprint hurdles, the discus, and put himself in position for what is the traditional final event in the decathlon, the 1,500-meter event. And based on points, he didn't need to win, but he put himself in position to do that. Down the stretch in the 1,500-meter of the 1976 decathlon, 50 years ago today, American Bruce Jenner.
Bruce Jenner is picking up the back straight. He does not want to finish second in this race. He's taking the run as Lincoln. He wants the world record. His personal best is 4:13.6, and he is driving through the prayer, running the prayers hard. He's going to be in the 4:17, 4:18 area. If he's to get into 4:14, that'll guarantee him going past 8,600 points. Let them take your time to hold on. Bruce Jenner is driving. And Jenner is cutting hard. He's going to finish. But he's second in the race. What is the time? 4:11, 4:1. Unofficially running 4 seconds.
Bruce Jenner crossed the finish line in Montreal that afternoon, looked up at the scoreboard and knew exactly the time he needed and knew exactly where he had finished. He raised his two arms and celebrated because Bruce Jenner did win the gold medal in the decathlon of the 1976 Olympics. He beat the so-called rival from the Soviet Union. It was a significant moment because, again, in 1976 in track and field, who won the 100 and who won the decathlon was a big deal. And in the eyes of many, you were viewed as the best athlete in America if you won the decathlon. Bruce Jenner wore the gold medal, national anthem was played, and stardom was just beginning for Jenner. It was a big deal in 1976 to be in the Wheaties box. And Bruce Jenner then appeared in the Wheaties box. It was the start of a big run promotionally for Jenner. In 1976, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus were capitalizing when it came to endorsements, but Jenner really benefited. After all, back then, the true amateurs didn't make any money. In fact, while Jenner trained the Olympics, he was making $9,000 a year with a few odd jobs. But stardom took off for Jenner. He began not only endorsing products, he appeared on television, doing a number of appearances, including sports commentary. He was an American star. He was an American hero. And then you fast forward a little bit, and things changed. You may be familiar with the family of the Kardashians and the fame that came with it. And then Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn Jenner. And today, at the age of 76, he's known as Caitlyn Jenner. But 50 years ago today, to the date, this afternoon in Montreal, Bruce Jenner, with that 1,500-meter run, won the gold medal in the decathlon, and at least on that day, was viewed as the best athlete in America because of what he had won. 50 years ago today. Things have changed a bit.
Just a tad.
Just a tad. Back to put a wrap on the Thursday show next.
Time for the latest news, gossip, trends, and off-the-wall stories. Trends.
That's the craziest thing I ever heard.
After practice for the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield did talk to the media. Greg Allman covers the Bucs for Fox Sports. This is his video and audio. Let me play the audio for you, Baker.
Obviously, I told you guys I've been pretty upfront and honest about my feelings about Tampa. It being home for now our family, we're raising kids here. We love it here. Wanted the deal done and set the deadline and told them it was going to be all ball after that. And I did beat that. And I don't know if they thought I was just going to take some of the offers that they gave, but I'm at the point in my career and understanding what I've brought to this franchise. One, I'm very, very thankful for the chance they gave me. You're not getting me wrong on that. But I also know, I really know what I brought to this franchise, leadership-wise, and play-wise. It's some of the best years of my career, and I think it's only going to trend upwards. Just being comfortable and feeling that. So disappointing in that regard to not have, to feel disrespect a little bit. And that's really the disappointing part, to feel undervalued after, thinking you've earned it. It's not a poor me thing. There's a lot of people that had it way worse off, but I can sit here and look at other quarterbacks and peers and evaluate myself based on that and put myself in certain categories that I deserve to be compensated for that.
He does go on to add, interesting, said feels disrespected, undervalued, and, he has a right to give his opinion, did it in a civil way and everything, but interesting.
Taking a little bit of a jab at the Bucs.
Not a little. It's a jab. Yeah, but, hey, the Bucs can counter, not that Jason Light will come out and say, we made what we believe to be a very fair offer.
I just saw here, according to Jeremy Fowler, let me find it. Baker Mayfield, this was a tweet from Jeremy Fowler. Baker Mayfield tells ESPN the Bucs offered him a 2-year deal, which was, quote, probably the most disappointing part. Wanted a long-term commitment. Added the Bucs were, quote, pretty far from the $50 million per year club.
Okay. Can I just guess? Okay, and you tell me if I'm crazy. So he basically it was 3 years, $100 million. This year's under 30 the way it was structured, okay? If you're the Bucs, and I'm just going to make up a number here, let's say you offer 2 at 84. Okay? If he wants 50, okay, let's offer 2 at 84. He's upset about the number and the years. I'm not giving him 5 years. I'm not giving him a 5-year contract. I would not blame the Bucs for that. Would you?
Could you structure it as call it a 5-year deal, but only the first 3 are guaranteed, with the last 2 years being team options?
Easier said than done. It all depends on what the numbers look like. But I agree with the Bucs. I'm not giving you guaranteed money in a year 4 or 5, and even year 3 I might be uncomfortable. That's how they got here.
Well, then again, you would essentially just front load it.
Something to talk about tomorrow.
Yep.
Have a good day, Chris.
You too, Mark.
Missed any of today's show? Go where you get your favorite podcasts and type in the Beat of Sports on demand. Please subscribe and download and listen when it's convenient for you. If you want to watch the video stream, go to our YouTube page, 96.9 The Game Orlando. Click on the logo on the live button. You can watch the show back. Chris and I are coming back for a Friday edition of the program tomorrow. Have a great day. This is the Beat of Sports.